Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. We are diving into iBuying today.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically Opendoor.
Right.
And we've got some really interesting stuff to talk about. We have their Q3 2024 earnings report. We also have some news about some layoffs that are happening over there. And we have some analyses of their new strategies, like the new things that they're doing to try and, stay alive in this market.
Right.
So this should be pretty interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting case study. Opendoor is sort of the poster child for the iBuying model.
Yeah.
And it's been just a wild ride. I mean, they were valued at $18 billion.
Oh, my God.
Not too long ago. And as of, recent weeks, they're down to $1.3 billion.
Yeah, that is a huge drop.
Yeah.
And they're laying off staff and, it's
right.
They're having some trouble. So for those who don't know what iBuying is, can you just give like a real quick rundown?
Yeah. So essentially iBuying is you're selling your house directly to a company.
Yep.
So you're bypassing the traditional, listing on the market. You're not going through an agent.
Yeah.
You basically, the company will come in, they'll make you a cash offer. You take the cash offer.
Mm-hmm.
They may do some light repairs.
Yeah.
And then they'll flip the house.
Right.
So it really took off during the pandemic.
Yeah.
When you had this like red hot sellers market.
Everybody wanted to.
People needed to move.
Yeah.
People wanted to move.
And they wanted to do it quickly.
Exactly.
And so that seemed to be the answer.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see, now that things have cooled down.
Yeah.
What's happening with their business. So their Q3 2024 earnings report shows that they had a $78 million loss.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's a big number.
That's a lot of money.
But is there anything else that we need to take into consideration when we're looking at that number?
Well, I mean, so that is a big loss, but it's actually an improvement from the previous year. So they're losing less money.
So it's moving in the right direction.
Right. And their revenue actually grew.
Okay.
They bought more homes,
Mm-hmm.
which, in theory should lead to more revenue.
Yeah.
And then they also spun off their rental data company called Mainstay.
Okay.
Which is going to save them some money in the long run.
So it sounds like they're,
They're adapting.
They're adapting, they're pivoting.
Yeah. They're not just like,
throwing in the towel.
giving up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's encouraging.
Yeah, but, the strategy stuff that I mentioned before, this is where I think it gets really interesting because they're making some pretty big changes. Like they're doing away with traditional buyer agent commissions.
Right.
Which is like a major shift.
It is a major shift. So traditionally when you buy a home, the buyer's agent will get a commission.
Yeah.
Typically from the seller.
Yeah.
But what Opendoor is doing is instead of offering those commissions, they're offering buyer concessions. So they're kind of cutting out the middleman there and trying to save some money.
And maybe appeal to buyers who, are on a tighter budget.
Potentially.
Or just, are looking for a better deal.
Right.
And then they also have this list with Opendoor program.
Yeah.
Which is,
So this is interesting because they're not just buying houses outright.
Right.
Now they're saying, okay, you can list your house traditionally, but we're going to give you a backup offer.
Like a guaranteed offer.
Guaranteed cash offer.
Okay.
So if you don't get what you want on the open market, you can always come back to us and we'll buy it.
So they're kind of giving the seller the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
They can try to get a higher price on the market.
Right.
But if it doesn't work out, they have that safety net.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
for buyers, they have this exclusives marketplace.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like, it seems like they're going for a more like e-commerce experience buying and selling homes.
Yeah.
Trying to streamline the process.
So basically they're trying to appeal to both buyers and sellers with these new offerings.
Right, okay.
And then they've also partnered with Zillow, which I feel like we could do a whole other deep dive on that because that's
a big one.
Pretty significant partnership. But so with all these moves, what are analysts saying about Opendoor's future?
So analysts are forecasting revenue growth for 2025.
Okay.
But they're still expecting losses.
So they're not out of the woods yet?
Not out of the woods yet.
Okay.
But what's really interesting is there's like a wide range of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Some analysts are very, very bullish on them.
Okay.
They think they're going to turn it around, some are not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of anybody's guess at this point.
Right. It really highlights that you know how uncertain the market is right now?
Yeah.
And just how much of a gamble this iBuying model is.
Right. Yeah. So it's not just Opendoor that's facing these challenges. The whole industry is kind of in this like turbulent period right now.
Absolutely. So you have OfferPad.
Yeah.
Another big iBuyer. They also reported losses.
Yeah.
But their focus is on cost control.
Okay.
So they're really trying to like batten down the hatches.
Yeah.
Make sure they're not spending too much money. Then you have traditional players like Douglas Elliman, which is a big real estate brokerage.
Yeah.
They're diversifying their services.
Okay.
So they're realizing, you know, we can't just rely on this traditional model.
Yeah.
We need to offer more.
Yeah.
And then you have Fathom Holdings. They're actually experiencing growth.
Really?
Yeah, they're kind of a unique case.
That's interesting.
They've had some legal hurdles to overcome.
Oh, wow.
But they're still growing, which is really impressive.
Okay, so we've got companies who are, trying to survive. We've got companies who are trying to adapt. We've got companies that are somehow thriving in this market.
Yeah.
So
it's a mixed bag.
It is a mixed bag. What does this tell us about the real estate market overall?
Well, I think it shows that the real estate market is in a state of flux right now. We have high interest rates.
Yeah.
You have this shift in the role of agents. And you have people looking for new models that are going to work in this kind of turbulent market.
So what does this mean for our listeners? What does this mean for the average person who's, maybe thinking about buying a home or selling a home?
Yeah.
I
think the big takeaway is that, like, these trends are going to impact you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a homeowner or you're thinking about selling or you're just interested in the business world.
Yeah.
These things have real world implications.
Yeah. And so we're gonna stick with Opendoor's journey and kind of use that as a lens to look at these bigger forces that are reshaping the market.
Absolutely.
So stick with us.
It's interesting, though, because even though their valuation has dropped so much, they're not backing down.
Yeah, they seem to be like doubling down on some of these new strategies.
Yeah, it's like, are they resilient or are they desperate?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Right.
And some of these offerings are actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially for a seller who maybe is a little bit hesitant to go the traditional route.
Yeah, like the List with Opendoor program is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
Because it gives sellers that safety net. They can test the waters of the open market, but they have that guaranteed cash offer from Opendoor as a backup.
So if they don't get the price they want,
exactly,
they can just take the Opendoor offer and avoid
all the hassle.
The
open house.
Yeah.
The, back and forth.
The uncertainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in today's market.
Right.
Interest rates are high. Things are unpredictable. I could see how that would be appealing to a lot of sellers.
Yeah, that certainty it's really valuable.
Yeah.
Especially in a market where people are kind of nervous.
Right.
They don't know what's going to happen.
So do you think that they're kind of banking on the market staying volatile?
I think it's a possibility.
Okay.
Because if things settle down, then wouldn't sellers be more likely to go the traditional route?
Yeah.
Try to get a higher price?
Makes sense.
So it is a risk. But I think their bet is that by streamlining the process, by attracting more sellers, they can ultimately achieve greater efficiency and profitability.
Right. It's kind of a volume game.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
But it's still a gamble, especially in a market that's still trying to find its footing. Yeah. And let's not forget, they're not the only ones doing this. OfferPad is right there with them, trying to keep their costs down, but also innovate and grab market share.
Right.
And then you've got the traditional players like Douglas Elliman, Fathom Holdings. They're trying to adapt and evolve.
Like no going down without a fight.
Right.
It's like a real estate showdown.
Yeah. Who's going to come out on top?
Right.
Who can adapt the fastest?
I think it's going to be the companies that can really understand the needs of both buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
And anticipate those needs and respond to them effectively.
So let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
What does this all mean for the average person who's out there just trying to buy or sell a house?
Right.
Should they be looking at iBuying?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
I think there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
It really depends on your personal circumstances.
Okay.
Your risk tolerance and what your priorities are.
Okay, so break it down for us. Like if you're somebody who's saying, speed and convenience are my top priorities, is iBuying a good fit?
It could be.
Okay.
Because you're getting that guaranteed cash offer.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with showings.
Right. Yeah.
You're not dealing with open houses. You can close quickly.
It's like the easy button of real estate.
Exactly.
But of course,
That's the price for convenience.
There is a price. You're probably not going to get top dollar
Right.
for your home compared to selling traditionally.
It's a trade-off.
Right.
You're paying.
For that certainty.
You're paying for the certainty.
And ease.
And the ease.
Okay, so how do you decide which path is right for you?
I think the first question you got to ask yourself is what matters most to me in this situation? If you need to move quickly.
Yeah.
If you have a job relocation. If you have a pressing financial need. The speed and certainty of an iBuyer offer might outweigh that potential for a higher price.
Okay.
But if you have the time and the flexibility to navigate the traditional market, you might be able to maximize your profits.
Okay, so it really is a risk versus reward.
It is.
Kind of a calculation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And don't forget the emotional side of things, too.
Yeah.
Selling a home can be incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
So for some people, that peace of mind of an iBuyer offer, knowing what they're going to get, when they're going to close, that's worth more than any potential financial gain.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So it's not
just about the money.
Right.
It's about
your life.
Your circumstance.
Your circumstances.
Your priorities.
Yeah, your peace of mind.
Exactly.
Okay, so iBuying, not inherently good or bad.
Right.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
It depends how you use it.
Exactly.
But zooming out again.
What do all these trends tell us about the state of the real estate market?
I think what we're witnessing is a power shift.
Oh.
Traditionally, real estate agents held a lot of the cards.
Yeah.
They controlled access to information. They managed the marketing, the negotiation.
Right.
They took a sizable commission.
Yeah.
But technology is disrupting that iBuyers like Opendoor.
Yeah.
They're cutting out the middleman.
Yeah.
Giving sellers alternative ways to sell.
Yeah.
Even traditional brokerages like Douglas Elliman, they're diversifying their services. They're embracing technology to stay competitive.
So it's a sign that the industry is in transition.
It is.
Right. Consumers are demanding more transparency, more convenience, more control over the process.
More options.
Yeah.
And that's changing the game.
Yeah. So whether or not you personally go the iBuyer route, these trends are impacting the whole landscape.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that change is inevitable and the way we buy and sell homes is going to continue to evolve.
It is.
In the years to come.
That's right.
All right, so we've talked about iBuying, we've talked about Opendoor and their, wild ride, and we've talked about the industry as a whole.
Right.
But let's bring it all back down to you, the listener.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for you?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that knowledge is power.
Okay.
We've seen how Opendoor, was this big company.
Yeah.
And now they're fighting to stay relevant. And I think their story really highlights the potential pitfalls of a model that relied so heavily on a booming market.
So basically they grew too fast.
Yeah, they kind of, they took advantage of this perfect storm.
Yeah, the stars aligned and they just
yeah, and they
went for it.
They rode the wave.
Yeah. But they didn't necessarily build a foundation that could sustain them when the wave crashed.
So what can we learn from that?
I think it's a cautionary tale.
Okay.
About sustainable growth.
Right. You can't just
grow for the sake of growing.
Right. You need to make sure that you're building a business that can weather the storms.
That can adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the practical side of things.
Okay.
If you were thinking about selling your house, what are some of the things that you should consider when you're weighing the iBuyer option versus the traditional route?
I mean, it really comes down to your priorities.
Okay.
If your top priorities are speed and certainty, iBuying is great.
Yeah.
You get that quick sale. You know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And you don't have to deal with all the uncertainty of the traditional market.
But, of course, we've learned that convenience comes at a price.
There's always a trade-off. Yeah, you might not get top dollar for your home.
Yeah.
So how do you decide which path is right for you?
I think going back to what I said before, ask yourself what matters most
Okay.
in this situation.
In this situation, yeah.
If you need to relocate quickly for a job, if you have some pressing financial need, maybe iBuying makes sense because that speed and that certainty are worth more
and potential
than holding out for a higher price.
Yeah.
But if you have the time, the flexibility to navigate the traditional market, you might be able to get more money.
Right.
So it's that risk versus reward
Calculation.
Exactly.
And I think you mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. Don't discount the emotional aspect of this.
Selling a home is stressful.
Oh, it's super stressful.
So sometimes that peace of mind that an iBuyer can provide is priceless. Just knowing what you're going to get when you're going to close.
Yeah, just take the stress out of it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it really is about...
It's about finding the right fit for you.
For your circumstances and your priorities.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the thing to remember is that real estate is always changing.
Always. Yeah.
iBuying is just one piece of this puzzle.
Right.
We're seeing traditional brokerages adapt. We're seeing technology play a bigger role. And we're seeing consumers demand more transparency, more control.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time to be following real estate.
It is.
Even if it's a little uncertain.
Absolutely.
Who knows what's going to happen next?
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The future is still being written.
So I guess the takeaway for our listeners is...
Stay informed.
Stay informed.
Stay engaged and,
educate yourself.
Educate yourself.
So you can make the best decisions for you.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was great having you on. And until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.
Sounds good.